Alright. Hello, everybody. I welcome you warmly to our webinar here, Migration begreifbar machen. Everybody has a story. My name is Annika. I study special needs education at the university in Ludwigsburg, and I warmly welcome our two experts today about this topic, Janina Rapp and Pappy Orion. Just a few words for the rules at the beginning. This webinar should be interactive, so it would be very nice from you guys if you put on your camera that Pappy can see you while he's talking with us. You don't have to worry about the YouTube live stream, which is going on here because we will have the spotlight on Pappy. So it will just be him who is seen on the screen, but it would be nice for him if he can see your faces as well. So if it doesn't matter for you, it would be nice if you can turn on your camera. As I just said, it should be an interactive webinar, so you could ask questions by putting a star in the chat, just writing a star in the chat, and then Pappy can see that there is a question, or either you go on reactions, it's on the right corner on the Zoom, and there you can raise your hand, for example. I think you should see it on my screen. And yeah, then you can, then can Pappy or I can see that you have a question. This webinar will be in English, so if you're not comfortable with the English language, you can just write me. I can translate it for you, some words in German. Or if you have a question and you're not, you're a bit afraid for asking it, you can also write me in the chat, or you write it in the YouTube channel, on the YouTube live stream, and I can ask the questions to Pappy. Okay, I think that's the most important things at the beginning for me. Enjoy our webinar, and I warmly welcome Janina and Pappy, and I give the word to Janina.
Hello, everyone. Yes, first of all, thank you very much for the chance to offer the webinar within the Nachhaltige Hochschulwochen. My name is Janina Rapp, and I am working as project manager for the NGO Kate Stuttgart. Kate is a non-profit consulting and educational organization focusing on sustainable business, sustainable tourism, and education for sustainable development. Therefore, we are also part of the European project Start the Change, which is co-funded by the European Commission. In total, 12 different countries are part of the project. I think some of our change makers from the project are also right now listening to us. So very warmly welcome to our partners. Actually, the project Start the Change aims to raise awareness of the importance of a joint effort to contribute to ending poverty, protecting our planet, and ensuring peace and prosperity for all people worldwide. If you are interested in more details of the project, just visit our website on Kate Stuttgart or starttechangeproject.eu. So several times Pappy Orion supported Start the Change project and cooperated also with us. So as today, as for the webinar, also about the topic migration, everyone has a story. So I really warmly want to welcome Pappy Orion today. Pappy Orion is working as a filmmaker, and he's also a co-founder of the NGO called Focus Congo. So, Pappy, thank you very much for being part of Start the Change and sharing your personal story to encourage us to become part of change. I don't want to lose too many words, so I give you the floor. Thank you for being with us, Pappy.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for being part of this webinar. Also, would like to thank you, Janina, for, again, the opportunity to share my story, and most of all, the story of my people, and probably encourage someone to tell the story as well. So as Yanina said, my name is Pappy Orion Boinkebe Rizibuka. That's my African name. Yeah. Is that we African, we have long names usually, so I hope you're not surprised by that name. It's just been exciting for me to actually collaborate with Kate and start the change. And I remember that I've shared in 4 different projects, and I was part of also the jury who went to Gifoni Film Festival, and it's just been such an amazing experience. And I'm always really blessed to be part of anything that is happening to make the world a better place. Um, and if you all can hear me very well, I would like you to just do like this. It's good. So thank you very much. And so personally, I believe everyone has a story. Each one of us. We have people, of course, that are alive with us here. 8 people, I think, in Zoom. We have people listening from Japan. We have people listening from Ukraine. We have people listening from Congo and also South Africa. And I just want you to know that we all, wherever we're listening, we all have stories. And our stories are very important story. And I remember as I was growing up, never had a dream to be one day in Germany or even be in South Africa. And I never knew that my story could be shared one day. Of course, maybe the circumstances in which I went through, achieving that way I started sharing the story was a bad one. But I still think my story has helped me to bridge the gap and to be able to communicate with different people. Yeah, and so it's good if we tell each other our story, I believe. And I believe behind every life there is a story, and as every story is valuable. Um, the stories, our story broadens our horizon. It enables us to look beyond what our eyes can see. And that relate to me because as a kid in Congo, I never saw beyond the landscape that I could see with my open eyes. Uh, Only I thought, okay, this is where my life was gonna end, and now I'm here in Germany, sharing my story, and it's because of that story that the road has opened for me to even be here in Germany. And as we progress into the story, you will know why I'm saying this. And I see my contribution to this. I believe this is a Vata building, Yanina, as well. Or these are students. Could you?
Yes, actually there are teachers listening right now to us. There are students. There are people from other perspectives. So right now, we just saw that also 40 people or more than 40 people from YouTube are listening to us.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, I believe that my contribution to helping people share their story is to tell them how my story, how my way of sharing my story was born. And then also for me, I didn't learn to tell my story like you guys are going to school or other people are teachers or you're doing a Vata building, but life taught me how to tell a story, because without telling this story, I don't believe I could have survived or I could have gotten to where I am today. So I have learned that story is important by just being on the street, communicating with people. And sometimes in those circumstances, as I share with people, people reject me. And I could remember one day I was on the streets in Switzerland, and me being an African, I saw someone and I was like, "Hello, how are you?" I was very, very happy. And then this person told me, "Why are you greeting me?" But for me, it was just the fact that I could listen to someone respond to my question would make me happy. But this person didn't know that. And so people that I meet along the way, they tell me the story, they respond to my story. That makes my life more fulfilling, and it makes the lives of others also more fulfilling. So we hear today hearing about migration, and migration for me was forced onto me. You know, I grew up in remote villages of the DRC, and right now I'm gonna share my screen with you guys so that there we go. Can you still see what I? Yeah, good. So I grew up in Central Africa, to be specific, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, right there in red. And I grew up, you can see the map where is circled in red as well, in a province called South Kivu. South Kivu is a very, very beautiful place with a lot of resources. The landscape is breathtaking, is amazing. I've never been in another beautiful place like South Kivu. I promise you guys, if you ever visit this place, you will love it. It's the most amazing place on earth. And as I grew up, I was actually, every morning I was waking up to this. I wake up out of my door and I'll see beautiful mountains, beautiful landscape. So we basically lived as my dad, my mom, they had 10 kids, and six girls and 4 boys, and we lived a relatively peaceful and quiet life all together. And um, I went to school like any normal child. I could remember in my village where I grew up, I think I saw a vehicle at least once in 2 months. So if you could imagine, you might have seen uh, images of Africa, of kids seeing a car and running after those cars. This was my life. Whenever I saw a car, I was amazed. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I would run after this car. I will basically run for miles, sometimes 30 kilometers, just to see where this car is going. And then also as a kid, I was one of those kids running when you see a white person. So we call a white person in my village Muzungu. And then so when we saw a white person, we ran after the white person and we'll be screaming Muzungu, 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 because for us it was a curiosity, and it was something also strange, and we wanted to know if this person is the same as us. So now you could imagine the kind of village in which I grew in. But in this village, it was all, I was okay with what we had. My dad worked for the government, but also he was a farmer. So we had enough food to eat. We had water to drink. And I didn't have any worries. I didn't even dream of any war outside the world that I've seen there, because it was so beautiful and I was comfortable there. I had amazing friends, and together with my family, we lived a quite an amazing life. So, but my life changed. My life changed in 1996 when the war started in my country. Everything changed. I remember in my village, houses were set ablaze. Every able-bodied uh, of my age was a target of was a prime target of recruitment for war. And this is when I stood and I was asking myself, what has life become? This is a picture of me right after the war started. So everything that we had was looted, and we didn't have anything anymore. You can see that I'm sitting there. That time I was quite hopeless. I didn't know what to do, and unfortunately, after that event happened, I'm just going to try and skip through events so that we can cover everything today. There was 3 different groups. Actually, I have to go back a little bit. So there was 2 events that I would like to recall that changed my life and the perception I had on life. The first event that happened was like when the rebel came to my village. They saw my dad. They captured my dad, and they accused him of collaborating with the government. And so my dad, because he had worked for the previous government, he screamed, he said, no, I cannot do, I didn't do that. I just worked for the government. But then they took him and took him to a place that they wanted to crucify him. And I was in a different town with the family. And when I heard that, I traveled to where my dad was going to be crucified. And as I go there, he was on a cross upside down, and I was screaming, and my siblings were screaming, rescue my dad, rescue my dad. And right a few minutes before my dad would have been killed, my uncle, who has also been in a rebel group, have heard what has happened to my dad, and then came to my dad's rescue. So this is how my father was rescued. The second event that changed my perspective on life, perspective in life, was when my little sister was captured by the rebel group. And as she was captured, she was taken to an unknown place so that she could be raped. And I remember as a kid fighting for my sister and running to rescue my sister, and screaming and just hoping that they can leave her alone. But unfortunately, I couldn't rescue her. So they took her to a place, and 2 of the rebel soldiers raped her. But because of the noise that I made on the door, the 3rd soldier couldn't rape her again. So they released her. And I looked at her face, and I knew that her life wouldn't be the same again. She had the scar of experiencing that horrible event, and even myself as a kid experiencing on how my sister is captured and getting raped. But as we returned to the house, life became even harder, because at that moment, different arms groups started recruiting young children of my age. At this time, I'm 11 years old, and at this time, I'm a prime target. So the one group, there was 3 different groups that want to recruit me. One was led by my uncle, is a rebel group called Mai Mai. They believe to have a supernatural power. And also because for me, this was more attractive because my uncle has rescued my dad. And because of that, I wanted to join, even if I would have joined freely. And the second group was a group which was led by a rebel group, a Congolese rebel group. That group also wanted to recruit children. And the third one was a group which was led by the Rwandese. So 3 different groups. And for me, I wanted to join my uncle group, and my dad felt fear in all this group. And so my father advised me to leave the country. So he has seen what had happened to other kids that has joined such movement. And I bet you know some of these kids, they will come back home. Some of them, they will rape their own mothers, because once a kid is given a weapon or given an information, they don't meditate on that information. They just take this message and act on it, upon it. And that was the fear of my dad. And when he really thought that I'm going to come back and I will become a horrible person, he was also full of fear. And this is how he gave me up. I remember one evening him saying, "My son, I don't want you to become a rebel. I don't want you to join the movement. I will let you go. It was rather better for you to go and die somewhere than you becoming a horrible person who will cause havoc to the entire community. And so he went to the village, sold 2 cattle. He got $200 and put it into my shorts. And then that is how I started traveling. It was 4 o'clock early in the morning. On my way to escape, I found 2 other young kids, one 12, another 13, and together we are on our way traveling. So I'm just gonna play a quick video to show you, to kind of that illustrate a little bit of what was happening during this time of my father deciding, and then me also leaving my country, and then we'll continue through the journey on how I left and what where I go to. So. Moment. Can we see it on?
Right now, I think your screen right now is not shared.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Perfect. Now it works.
Now it's working, right? Okay. So this is just a little illustration on basically the kid is playing Pappy, is playing me, and this is what I would have felt back then, where just before I escaped. And this is my journey from the place highlighted in red. That's the Democratic Republic of Congo, right in the middle of Africa, as again called the heart of Africa. And so we escaped from a place called Bukavu in the eastern Congo, South Kivu, and we went to Burundi, and then in Burundi we boarded a boat through Lake Tanganyika, which then took us to Zambia, and from Zambia we went down to Zimbabwe, and then from Zimbabwe we landed up in South Africa. And then of course all this route there was a lot of different obstacles. Like we had, for example, we didn't have any travel document whatsoever. We didn't have any food on board. We didn't have, we didn't know the languages in some of the country we traveled to. So it was just by miracle that we even made it to countries like Zambia or until South Africa. And I could recall one of the places that we got to was Zimbabwe. And in Zimbabwe, there is a crocodile-infested river that we had to cross. And now, many people lose their life there because, they just, if you want to cross by foot, you could be swept by a crocodile and lose your life there. And as we were continuing, asking for people, where is the next destination? And people will tell you, just keep on going. And that's how we go to South Africa. And then for you who might ask, how did you actually get to cross the crocodile-infested river? Is that as we seek for help of traditional healers, an African traditional healer who helped us cross into the next stage of the journey into South Africa. We got to South Africa, and in South Africa there is a wall which was introduced to prevent the Africans from going into Africa, because at the moment, a lot of Africans, back then, a lot of Africans were traveling to South Africa to look for ends meet, because it was looked at as the most developed country in Africa. And so there is an electrocuted sense that a fence that we need to cross, and basically you have to squeeze yourself to jump through that fence and get to the other side. And luckily we made it to this area. But also as we got to South Africa, we landed up in a national park, and then in national park there are a lot of different animals that are really dangerous, and we needed to cross there. I remember just going, even in some point, going around, not knowing where to go, but it's just like there was someone who was always protecting us. Having made it to all this obstacle and getting to the place that we were safe, it's just for me, I still cannot understand it until now. And so we managed to make it to Cape Town, and the journey has taken us about 2.5 years of walking, of being hidden into boxes, crossing crocodile-infested river, going through, crossing borders without passports, spending a week without food. But we managed to make it to Cape Town, South Africa. And as we got to South Africa, life became really hard. Because here we don't know anyone, we cannot speak the language. We are these naive kids and not knowing what is happening. And at that point, I was like wondering, how can I actually get back to my country, Congo? I felt for me, life was even better there in Congo than being in South Africa, which was safe. And I remember every day sleeping on the streets. I don't know if some of you have been to South Africa. You have probably seen people on the streets watching after cars and receiving a few cents. And that's what kept us going. As a kid, just, trying to make ends meet and trying to survive, it was crazy. And because of desperation, I got involved in a lot of different dangerous businesses, selling drugs for adults. Because as a kid, nobody suspects you. You'll be given drugs and you would run over with it and sell it. No one suspects you. And because of that, I ended up in a prison in Cape Town. And again, I don't know just how I got out of that prison. And a lot of different things happened, where I was abused on the street of Cape Town, where I was beaten, I was called name, looking for food in a garbage bin. And when people catch me, they will insult me and all of that. But, I didn't care so much, because I was every day looking for food and I just wanted to survive. But at some point for me, life became just, it wasn't important anymore, and I wanted to take my own life. And that's when I thought of some kids. I looked at kids coming from school, and then I asked myself, like, I would like to be like these kids one day. And just the idea of thinking about these kids coming back from school and going home and becoming someone someday, this idea stopped me from committing something horrible. And as I was always on the streets and sitting on the street corner and looking after cars, I remember one day someone coming to me and asking me, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from Congo," and asking me, "How did you get here?" And that point, I can't even explain myself because, I also don't understand. I'm already 16 and a half, and my life, I've has just been that life of the streets. And this person came back the second day, and took me to, they managed to take me to a place which was led by a missionary. And from there, they integrated me into the group of young people. And that's when I started learning to be a man, to be a person, and then also thinking about what had happened to me in Congo. It was an amazing joy to know that there were people that cared for me, that were there to help me, that looked at me differently. Even the way I looked at a street kid, they just looked at me and looked beyond that exterior image and decided to take me with. And so from that on, I went through different stage in my life where I had to learn how to process things as a normal person and seek for professional help. And then I had people that I call mentors, or sometimes I call those people angels, because they're people that went beyond themselves and say, "Yo, we want to take care of you. We know you don't have your family here. You don't know anyone here, but we are your family now." And then as they were telling me this and really taking me through life every day, I remember them asking me, "What would you like to do one day?" And I was reflecting on that question, and I was like, I would like to tell stories. Because I grew up listening to stories. On my way from escape, the things that kept me going or kept us going was telling stories to each other. As we travel, even places that were very scary. I remember my friend telling me, "Remember this story that our grandparents used to tell us," and that is what kept us going. And I reflected on that. And I was like, I want to be a storyteller. I want to develop a better way for me to tell these stories. And then this is how these people took me to paid studies for me to go and study filmmaking, because I also found out that through filmmaking you can be able to tell more stories, and your stories can spread even to more people. And so I decided to do that. But I didn't only do that just for me to tell my own story. I went on by wanting to actually teach others so that they can be able to tell their own story in their own perspective. The vision was like, because I think we as Africans, I had the impression that we were seen as we're seen as a continent ravaged by war, diseases, and hunger, and all of these things. And I wanted to really go out there and tell the stories and to show the world that Africa wasn't only about diseases, is not only about war, is not only about people killing each other. And that's how I started doing that. But the other stage was for me to actually, before I could continue doing that, to be able to talk to my parents, to search for my parents, found them, and ask them, because I hadn't forgiven them as a kid. I was always thinking, why did my parents give me up? I wanted to talk to them and be able to really hear the story from them and understand what was the reason why they gave me up. And that's when I took the journey with a group of my friends from different nations. I think we were about 8 different nationalities, and we traveled back to Congo, the same routes that we took when we escaped. We traveled back to Congo, and it was an adventure of a lifetime. And but this time it wasn't an escaping one. So we got to Congo, and we spent about a week in Congo searching for my parents. because we didn't know if they were still alive. We didn't know where they were staying. And that's how we found people that helped us basically to find my parents. And as I saw my dad and looked at him, I saw that he has lost a lot of weight. He wasn't the father that I left behind. I hugged him, squeezed him, and started crying with the tears of joy. Together, it was a moment, or moment of happiness, a moment of reunion, and also a moment of reconciliation. So that week took me to talking to my parents and asking them, why did you actually give me up? And this is when my parents talked to me and told me the reason why they did what they did. And for me, that was an amazing experience because I got to understand that my parents didn't hate me. They wanted the best for me. They didn't want to become a horrible person. If I would have stayed, I'll probably become a person who would have been killing, raping, and all doing all these horrible things. And and this for me was a clear answer and a way for me to say, this is a way that I wanted to live. This is the way I wanted to teach people. And then also finding reconciliation was the most healing thing in my life, reconciling with my parents, reconciling with my country, and most importantly, reconciling with myself. Forgiving myself for all the experience I've gone through, the stuff that I have done well on the streets, and all the people that I have offended. And basically, this situation helped me to say, to be free within myself and be able to tell even more stories. And when I see someone who has gone through the same experience, I was able to actually share with them and share the story of how I become free and how I'm now telling the story. And I think this way is the way most Congolese are doing, and that's how most of them are finding healing, by reconciling first and forgiving one another, and most importantly, forgiving themselves. But during my travel in Congo, meeting my family and all the stuff that I did, it didn't all go as lovey-dovey, because as I was there in Congo, I found out something very horrible happened as well. As I was there and I was looking at my siblings, and I noticed that one of my siblings wasn't looking always at people. Every time I talked to her, she wasn't talking. And I was wondering what had happened to her. How come she's never looked into my eyes when she talks? And I asked my parents, and they told me the story that had happened. Basically, she was captured also as a kid, as a 5 years old, and was raped by rebel soldiers, and because of that she felt stigma, because women that were raped during the war, they felt stigmatized, thinking that it was a fault that this horrible thing has happened to them. And that was a situation with my sister. And I remember leaving my home and going and taking two of my friends and going to a village which was still occupied by rebels. And I wanted to talk to them. My family had told me, no, do not go there. But because of my stubbornness, and you understand that I had built a lot of stubbornness while I was on the streets, I was able to fight for myself. I was able to feed myself. And when I heard this story, my idea was like to go there on the street and fight this rebel, even be able to find a gun and kill them. So we get to the rebels, and I had my camera there, and I was asking them questions. And I heard the most horrible stories from these kids that are in the rebel group. Some of them I cannot tell you because they're horrible stories. And as I left this place and I went to my place where my parents lived, my only decision was to go and grab a gun and start fighting and kill as many rebels as I can. And I remember when I was talking to my team that we came with from South Africa, telling them that now I've decided to actually stay behind. They can go back to South Africa. and they didn't know why I was doing that. They were also shocked. But as I told my parents started begging me and telling me, no, don't do that. And so I remember this is the first time, the only time that my sister looked at me, and she looked into my eyes, opened her eyes, and told me, brother, keep on loving. That's the only thing she told me. And then she left. And then I heard that, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I like, what is this love that she was talking about? I realized that the love that she was talking about is keep on loving even those people that have wronged you. Keep on loving even the soldiers that have raped me, the soldiers that have made you flee from your family, flee from your country, the soldiers that have killed a lot of members of family, all those people, even the politicians that have made this war to be there, keep on loving. And I couldn't really get it. I couldn't understand it. I want to really learn more about this love my sister was talking about. And because of that, my heart became softened, and I managed to go back to South Africa with my friend. And this took me to study more about love. When we talk about love, what does love really means? Does love means to just love the people that love you back, or does love means you love even people that wrong you? Even if I always remember talking to kids in school, kids that say we love our family, we don't love this kid, we don't love, even us as adults, we happen to fall into that same situation where we hate on people, we hate on certain group of people, we other them, we say this is other, and this this is us, this is them. And really to be able to find about what love is, and reading about quotation which talks about love your neighbor as you love yourself, and trying to unravel that loving your neighbor. What does my neighbor means to me? My neighbor meaning that guy who has, stole something for me, loving, those people, those racists in Germany that see me as a black person, they conclude that I'm here to steal the money, all this kind of situation. And and this is when actually the true love for me came to my heart, and I started even loving, even when someone hates on me when I'm traveling by train. I don't respond so quick. I try to find out why is this person doing what they're doing, And the problem that we had sometimes, we divide. We say, okay, I can forgive this person, and this one, no, I don't. Even if they do something, I will never do that. And this is basically what my sister taught me. And as I left back, and I went to further my studies, and this one took me also to Switzerland to further my studies in mass media, and then also came to Germany to do my internship. And through all of that, I had this question that was still, lingering into my head, and asking me, how will you love someone even that you don't know how to love them? And that's when I traveled back to Congo in 2013 again. And as I went there, I went to meet with these kids again that are in child soldiering, asking them question, what are the things that have pushed them to do the stuff that they do? Basically going to the core of the problem and finding out what push people to do things that they do. And I started finding out even international organizations that were working there, nobody was caring about uh, child soldiering. A lot of organizations, they talk about victims, for example, raped women and other people that were victims by the war, but nobody happened to think, because basically in our mind, child soldiering is a very horrible idea. Someone is a child soldier, he's killing people. And once you go beyond and start thinking that there is someone who pushed this young kid to go and do what they're doing. Pappy, I could also have been in the same situation if I didn't get the chance to get out of Congo. And that's when, yeah, my whole thinking changed. Started talking to this kid, knowing that even though you are in this situation, I believe your life can still change. And basically today, as we have found, we're talking this, today as we speak, we're having many of these kids really life changing, and they are the ones who are leading the community, bringing reconciliation, and then even asking for forgiveness to the women that have been victimized and things of in different situations. And then also I was able to again hang out with my parents back then. That is my dad and my mom. And as you can see, we are very, very happy together, knowing that the son has returned, this time with a different weapon, which is a weapon of love, a weapon of communication, weapon of storytelling, telling stories to these kids, basically telling my story to them. And then for them, when they hear my story, they take this story and they make it their own story. And you could see when I tell them the story, them being happy and knowing that I'm here in Congo now, but my situation is not limited to just being here and just being a child soldier, or just being poor, being who they are. And as you can see as well, this is my land. It's such a beautiful place, guys. And when I actually talk about this, where I come from, is with a lot of passion, because it's true, guys. I've never seen a beautiful place like this. And I know you guys as German can talk about the Alps and all of this stuff that you heard, but you guys are just going to come to Congo and see that Congo is an amazing place. Yeah. And because of also being there and listening, and just basically not imposing what I heard, the ideas that I have, listening to people there, not only the child soldiers, but also listening to non-profit at the grassroots level that are doing works to help different people, to help child soldiers, to help raped women, to help deal with the trauma. So this helps us also to understand how we can help the people in Congo, how we can play our part, how I, as Pappy, who was recruited as a child soldier, became a street kid, was in prison, almost killed himself, can now be part of changing the narrative of our people in Congo. And this is when we went throughout Congo and found Focus Congo. Focus Congo is basically showing the world that beside what had happened, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Young people are seeing light. People in Congo are seeing the hope. And basically, if you believe in hope, you cannot tell me that there is no hope in Congo. And we're seeing that today. I'm just going to quickly again show you another video, and then we'll continue to what is happening. But if you have a question, you can actually ask me a question real quick, and then we can continue.
So are there any questions so far? Just unmute your microphone. Okay, so I think Pappy, you can continue. Thank you.
I can continue. Are you guys still okay? Good. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and play the video. The video is just basically highlight of different areas that we visited as Focus Congo, looking at areas and expressions, really for us being happy and seeing the richness that we have in Congo. And I hope you guys enjoy this.
Oh, living word, please sun, so long foretold. We're desperate souls draw near, and we will stand securely in the strength of the law. Every heart will surely come in the door. The great I am, our shepherd king, please come and dwell with us. To fields of grace, lead on, and we will stand securely in the strength of the Lord. Every heart will surely come in the dawn. The great I am, we need you now. Break our chains by your glory and power. Make us captive to a holy desire. Come to us, oh Lord. Come to us, oh
Okay, so you guys, I'm glad you saw that. So these are just expressions in Congo and different places that we went to learn about the situation there, and then also different places that I visited from my childhood, very nostalgic places, and it was such an amazing time to be able to, to talk to the people. Despite the status, we talk to normal people, we talk to government officials, we talk to pastors, we talk to businessmen, and it's such a great thing to find out the ideas and the vision that everyone have to see Congo coming to a country which is self-sustainable and hopeful, and that's where Focus Congo comes in to be able to support all of those with vision, and to make sure to equip and champions the young people that are aiming to better the society. You can see this is my village, me talking to my childhood women's that I know from my childhood, and this is basically my school. I used to sit exactly where that kid is sitting when I was a kid, and I remember just talking to this kid, and thinking of myself as a kid, and so it was such an amazing joy. And this as women at the Panzi Hospital. You might have heard of Dr. Denis Mukwege, who received the Nobel Peace Prize. And yeah, this is his hospital where I visited and talked. These are they were raped women, and now they're receiving trauma counseling and restoring their life. Also being treated there for fistula. And the story of Ombeni. Ombeni is a young man that we met also when we were there, and he's been orphaned by war. And so his parents and his mother and dad was killed during the war, and so he was left with 4 kids alone. Back then he was only 17, but he took the responsibility. And I met him, and I noticed something was funny about him. You can see his glasses. He doesn't have any. It's only frames. And as I looked at them, I'm like, this guy is telling story in a different way. And I was laughing. And I'm like, I would like to know your story. And that's when he told me his story. And from that on, we became friends. Basically, he's actually one of the people that we are supporting as a Focus Congo, and took care of the kids that the parent left him with, send them to school, and paying their shelter for the entire family. But the interesting thing about Ombeni, he didn't stop that. So he went to another village where there was a war, and he took 6 other kids that lost their parents as well. This is a young boy who was left with kids and with nothing, but went beyond to say, every little bit I can find, I would like to help someone else. And for us, he really encouraged us to also want to do more and to go beyond even what we have, to be able to help others. And the only thing that helped us to understand him is his story. So that's how story is very, very important. Because if we could have seen him and we didn't listen to him, we wouldn't have known how good of a person this guy was. And basically, this guy is not rich with money, but this guy is rich in the ideas that he have, in the story that he can be able to tell. And yeah, this is one of the kids that he's supporting. His little sister. And then he even does his own thing. You can see he's doing his fashion designing. So he doesn't just stop there. So he's using what he's in his hand. He goes into the bushes and makes his own thing to make. It's like a therapy for him. So as it was amazing to see someone like him. He didn't go to like university or to school to learn about this. He just taught himself how to do these things. Yeah, and the last story that I will talk about is that of Olivier. Olivier was recruited into the army as a 10 years old by the rebel group, and all he has known his entire life is only fighting and doing this thing. And as I saw him and as I talked to him, I was fascinated by the love he has for people. Even though he hasn't lived a normal life, but he's got the love. He knows that people love him. And as we met him, he was following us everywhere, and then basically he became one of our security, because as we were doing project there, we had a lot of cameras, we had a lot of equipment, and he would stay there to look after all our camera, and we came to trust him. And then also through his story, we were able to see a completely different person behind this army uniform that he was wearing. And up until now, he's one of the guys we're helping, sending him for training to help him also live a different life out of the army, also experience a normal life. And there are a lot of young Congolese like that just going beyond, that are learning, that are saying it is enough what has happened here. We have also on our team, we have a lot of women that are photographers that are working also hard to show a completely different, to show a completely different image of Congo. And I will share about one of the projects that we're running, which is called Kitoko Oil. Is a project that was born out of Focus Congo, and the project is basically to change the narrative of Congo. Because when I ask you today about Congo, what do you think about? You think about the war, you think about child soldiering, you think about rape and all of that stuff. But we realize that the major media outlet of the world is not showing the true image of the Congo now. And that's how we will come with Kitoko, or the quiet strength of Congo, to show a completely positive image of Congo. And for the first time, I've never shown this one to anyone, and to any presentation, you're gonna have a little glimpse of a project that we're working on called Kitoko. Is a multimedia project, basically a book and a documentary showing the quiet strength of Congo, the beauty of Congo. And a book will be released with pictures illustrating the stories of different young people that are doing amazing stuff to change the narrative of Congo. A lot of software engineers, a lot of inventors, a lot of there is a young guy called Murhula. Murhula was born also in the South Kivu. This guy came up with a project called Briquet de Kivu. Basically, the project he goes into the surroundings and collects waste, disposable waste, and uses this disposable waste to make charcoal. And this charcoal, they use it for cooking. Basically, he is protecting the environment, and then he is, by using green and clean energy. And he has been chosen as one of, last year he was chosen one of the 100 young people in the world making a great impact to our environment. And he's going to be also part of the book. And I'm just going to play real quick, and then we're going to go to the question section. Is that okay with you guys? Can you hear?
Tant qu'il y a la vie, il y a l'espoir. Et comme ils vivent, comme nous vivons, nous devons maintenir cette vie. Et nous devons travailler pour rendre la vie agréable à tout le monde, aux enfants, aux femmes, aux hommes, aux jeunes et à tout le monde.
Moi, je me dis, si je prends une photo, c'est pour que, si je la présente de cette façon, ça veut dire pour que le monde voit que dans ma région, il n'y a pas que des mauvaises choses.
Il y a un groupe de multinationaux qui ont pris les gens en otage, qui ne veulent montrer que la misère, qui ne veulent montrer que rien n'est vrai.
When you look at the problem, behind that problem there is a room for innovation.
Au Congo, c'est la guerre, c'est les viols. Sinon, ici déjà, si seulement c'est les viols ici ou la guerre, on allait déjà entendre des critiquements des balles, où nous aurons déjà assisté à une scène où on est en train de violenter quelqu'un. C'est pas ça.
To get here personally, the amount of fear that has been built into me for many years, it's just that people probably think I'm stubborn, but I was going to make my mind to come here no matter what. But like, there's years of fear, including the experience that we had here in Congo, the war, to get here. So by the time you get here, like, you don't know what to expect. I literally wrote my will. I've been meaning to do that because I have a family. You need to write a will. But coming to Congo made me finally do it, because I was like, I might actually not come back alive. It's a really messed up thing.
Dans la vie, tu es un grand homme seulement quand tu sais d'où tu viens. Et quand, devant les gens, tu sais montrer ce que tu es grâce à la terre maternelle.
Et pour que ça change, la situation ne va pas changer d'elle-même. Il faut des hommes, des femmes qui croient qu'il faut que ça change, qui peuvent apporter un espoir. Et moi, je me bats pour ça. Je me dis, c'est vrai, il y a la guerre, il y a le viol, il y a tout ça, mais on peut présenter autrement, on peut travailler autrement pour que les choses puissent changer, pour donner de l'espoir aux autres, pour les amener d'être acteurs du développement, pour qu'ils soient acteurs du changement au pays et même dans la région des Grands Lacs et pourquoi pas dans le monde entier.
Il y a des réconciliations qui sont en train d'être faites. Il y a partout, même là où il y a eu tractations, là où il y a eu de violence. Mais il y a quand même des messages d'espoir qui sont là. Il y a des gens qui sont en train de se dire que non, c'est maintenant l'occasion, c'est le moment de dire que chez nous, il y a la vie, chez nous, c'est la beauté, chez nous, c'est l'amour, chez nous, c'est vraiment tout ce qu'il y a au monde.
Sur le plan naturel, nous sommes un pays à millions de potentialités. Je ne douterai jamais de dire que l'avenir du Congo sera toujours meilleur.
C'est un endroit où tu peux commencer à zéro et aller, si tu as le courage, d'aller plus vite qu'une flèche.
Yeah. That's it, guys. And let's give it back to... Oh, can you hear me well? Okay. So we're going to give it back to Annika, and then we can go into the question section.
Perfect. So maybe I'm going to start. Does someone has any questions to ask Pappy? You can also write it into the chat, and we're going to read it out in English, or if you prefer to ask your questions in German, there is no problem. We can translate it as well.
Can I have a question?
Sure, go ahead.
So I have a question, Pappy. Well, thank you so much for your story and your words. And I'm still amazed by everything you have told. But I have a question regarding when you went out from your country at the beginning and you were traveling by your own, you were really young, and you didn't know exactly what was happening and why you had to escape. Did you have any kind of feeling of regret from your country or regret from your family? How did this feel when you were young, like having to escape from the country and having to kind of regret your past? I don't know if you understand my question. Like, how did it feel and how did you come over this situation?
Yeah. Thank you, Sergio. Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
Spain. Wow. Yeah. So this is a great question. Yeah. When I left my country, it was I didn't know. I was 11 years old. I didn't know what was happening through my mind. I didn't register. The whole situation got to register when I have reached South Africa, and I've spent about a year or so looking and noticing that my parents weren't there, and my friends weren't there. All the people that I care for were not there, and so that's when I started realizing this is a very serious thing. And at the moment, I was contemplating to go back, but it wasn't even possible. Yeah, definitely I did notice something was missing. And then basically as the time went on, I got a passion fatigue. I forgot completely about it. And then I got to the point where I realized that I needed to give up in order to survive. I needed to focus my mind needed to shift on something else. But everything came back when I started talking about reconciliation and forgiveness, because that wouldn't have done without thinking about all the event that has taken place. And as I thought of that, I was back again in my childhood, thinking about how I escaped, and my mom and dad, why did they give me up? And as I went back to Congo with the bitterness and unforgiveness, and talking to them and them telling me the reason why they had done what they have done. And that's when I became free, because I learned to forgive myself first, forgive my dad, forgive the army that has caused all of this, forgive the country, the politician, and forgive the soldiers that have done bad things to a lot of members of my family. and then I became a free person, and also helped me to be able to help other people, including those who have done wrong stuff. Did that answer?
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
I think I can have another one. If
Perfect. Go ahead.
you don't mind, sorry. Well, I have so many questions for you, of course. Like it's super interesting what you have told us. But what can you say from your point of view of storyteller? What can you tell to the people who have, let's say, simple stories? Sorry for using this word, but or not as adventurous or as challenging as your story. What can you tell them in order to empower them to realize that, of course, the every story matters? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a perfect question. I like that. I think that question is a question that everyone. I remember last time I was speaking, someone said, "But I don't have a story like yours." But as we said from the beginning, everyone has a story, and every story is relevant. I happen myself talking to people, just walking on the street and greeting someone and saying hi, and this person answering, person smiling at me, and this smile that person gives me, it does impact my life completely. It's not even that storytelling effect. By smiling is you're telling a story. By making a gesture, you're telling a story. By maybe this time that we're finding ourselves in of COVID-19, I know that we are all affected, and I have been affected also in a very big way. But we could do things that tell stories that impact others, and I'm not going to go into what we could do, but I think the story that you have, I don't know what is your journey from Spain to, or if you are still in Spain, or if you are in Germany. I don't know what is your journey, but you talking about your journey, you're talking about your journey and telling it someone or telling it to me, it does impact me in a way that you will never even expect. Like, for example, being someone who loves soccer from Spain, if you talk about different soccer club, I'm not going to go into details of soccer clubs, but that already you're starting a conversation, and because of that conversation, we might find a common point where we can be able to agree, engage together in something, and therefore become world changers together in a way or another. So I do think is every story is interesting. Mine is just sounds fictional, a little bit horrible, but even a happy story. Let me talk about movies, for example. Some people like to watch love stories, like chick flicks is called. Others like to watch adventure. Others like to watch fiction, and all these movies tell different stories. Some of them are not as horrible as they are, and I think that is how also story works. Whether you are a storyteller who tells happy stories, who tells comedy, who tells horrible stories like the journey that I have taken. All those stories, you can find someone who found those stories interesting, and you encourage someone with that story. I don't know if that answers. Does it? Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? You can also use the chat if you want to, and just type in your question there, and I can read it out loud.
What wisdom would you like to share with us before we go to the weekend, Pappy? Is there something you would like to share?
Yeah, can you say that again, please?
Do you have a wisdom for us, like something wise
wisdom.
you can share with us before we go into the weekend?
Yeah, I don't think I have a wisdom. I think I just have, maybe encouragement or something, I think Janina knows I'm working right now on a story so let me go back a little bit. Just before the lockdown started in Germany, I lost my mom. My mom passed away instantly. She wasn't sick, and I had to travel back to Congo, and then see her out, and it was a very, very painful experience. And but at the same time, I found myself trying to rush to get back into Germany before the lockdown starts. And as I go back to Germany, I was faced with the situation of knowing that when I go back to Congo, I will never be able to see my mom again, the one who was encouraging me to keep on going. And then also I was faced with the lockdown, knowing that I just came back, but I won't be able to see my friends and share the experience, everything that had happened. But also that brought something into my mind to actually reflect on my life. And that's when the project the meaning of life came about, where I asked a few of my friends to record themselves and tell us a little bit about what life means for them during this time of COVID-19. And for me, it was important to again reflect how I've been living my life, going back to it, and then looking back, looking at the present, and looking forward. Have I been living a life that is contributing to the well-being of the people around me? Is a question that I was asking myself. And now the situation that I'm facing, how am I dealing with it? And with all this that has been happening, how am I going to be living life in order to make the lives of people around me better? And I came to realize that I'm here not just because, not to make myself as rich as I can, not to make myself look good as I can, but to make the lives of the people, that could be family, you guys as I talk to you, and people that I meet every day on the streets, better. And I think that is a legacy that we can live. And I think, again, we have to be reminded of COVID-19, of what had happened. It didn't really choose. And it really affected everyone, whether, no matter your geographical background, where how you look like, rich or poor, we were all affected. And I think this is a lesson for us to go and reflect on and say, I want to impact the world, choose the area, choose a place in the area of your influence, and impact in there, even if it's a little bit, even if it's just writing something and positively and encouraging someone, you're already making an influence. And I think we shouldn't wait for tomorrow to come. Now is now to make the world a better place. And I believe this is why you are sitting here. If you were not interested in making a world a better place, we wouldn't have been sitting here. So guys, let's start the change. Let's work together. Let's make the world a better place. And I saw a few other questions in the chat room. Annika, do you?
Exactly. Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yes, please.
So the first question was, are you happy with the life you have right now? Asked by OA Kate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so the thing is in life, you will have ups and downs. There won't be a moment in life where you are okay. I'm now the most happy person in the world. You always have people that will frustrate you. You have things, but I can say that I'm in a place. On the way to. I'm on the way to reaching the place where I want to be, to impacting the people. You know, every time I think about the lives in Congo, the situation which is still taking place there, I'm tempted to really to do more. You know, to engage much more, and I'm not only engaged in Congo, in Germany, we doing a lot as well, telling stories. Like I think Yanina, remember, I produced a music video for young refugees that really impacted him in a very positive way. And I don't have like a lot of money, but whatever I can do to use my talent to bless another person, to impact another person, I jump to that opportunity to really do it. You know, so I'm content, and I'm content despite the situation that I'm going through. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we have one more question from Sophie. How can we follow you to see what you are up to do and how your project develops?
Yeah. There is a. Thank you very much for that question. I even forgot to somehow. So there is a lot of different ways that you can follow us. We have a website which is called with our nonprofits, Focus Congo, which is registered here in Germany and in Congo as well. And there's a www.focuscongo.com. And then we have another website for the Kitoko oil projects, which are just which are shared at the end, showing the beauty and the quiet strength of Congo. And is I think maybe I need to write that down. Should I put it in the chat? Yeah, and we are on Instagram, Facebook, we try to engage ourselves in whatever we can. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And one more question from Marie. How exactly did you come to Germany?
Yeah. Okay. So well, I was pursuing to study more communication and be a better communicator. I was applying to go to England to go and do mass media and communication. And then in England, the place where I was applying, they discontinued the course. And so my files were forwarded to Switzerland. And that's how I ended up in Switzerland studying mass media and communication. And while I was in Switzerland, I wanted a place to do an internship. So I got a place in Germany which offered me an internship. But also, while I was doing that, I met with the German beautiful girl, and we now live together. We married and live in Augsburg together.
Thank you very much. And one more question from Alicia. What do you think about the current refugee situation in Europe? What should be done?
Yeah, I think for me it's always been the way to look at the root cause of the problem, to always go at the root cause, because there is no way you can solve the problem without knowing where the problem is coming from, you know. And I see people complaining, I see people talking, and I think if we could all engage wherever the refugees are coming, try to, you know, and try to better the situation, whether it's in Congo, and that's what I do. So what I do, and I'm not, you know, I love meeting with the refugees and really sharing with them and helping them out. But when I go to Congo, when I'm in Congo, I try to tell my people, the young people there, to encourage them to actually look a little bit of opportunities that are there, because there is, of course, those refugees that are escaping war, and there's almost like nothing we can do to stop them from leaving that place. But there is a lot of young people that are leaving because of the economical situation. And I think we gotta encourage our people, even support the people back wherever country they're in, to encourage them to invest in infrastructure, or invest in education, to have them look at life in a different perspective. And for those who are already the refugee situation, I think what we can do, because we are in it already, is see how we can be able to come with the with love towards them, and listen to their stories, you know, see where they're coming from. Because the problem is, we see refugees, we actually don't know why they're here. We don't understand why they are in the situation in which they are. We probably just judge them instantly because we see, in fact, I get judged every time as a refugee just because I'm Black. You know, I see people calling me, but, you know, not that I have something wrong with being a refugee, but I'm not a refugee. So, but many people see my image like this and they say you are a refugee without you know, asking a question or trying to learn about me, who I am. And this is what I do personally, is whenever I meet a person, whether you're German, whether you are a refugee, whether you're Syrian, I would like to talk to you. I would like to know why is it, why are you, how is your journey, you know, what is your story? And then out of that story, if you understand the story, I think you can better help people, and instead of judging them. So I think in terms of the situation, I'm not an expert, refugee expert, but on a personal level, I know how I dealt with it, and as being a refugee, and now being in a different situation. And I know how hard it is for any refugee to be able to leave their home and be in a completely different country and learn different systems, and, you know, be sometimes enforced to different systems. So it's a very, very tough situation. But I think we as a change makers, we can make it easier for some of those refugees by knowing their stories. Yeah.
Thank you, Pappy, for the answer. We have two more questions before we end this webinar. One from the YouTube channel. How can we get involved with what you do? What are the options for me and others listening to you now, especially for Focus Congo?
Yeah. So there is a lot of different ways you can get involved. So the first way is basically, since we are a threefold organization, we focus on education, restoration, and you know, and then healing or discipleship, like mentoring. So we like to take people to Congo with us and give them the experience, for them to experience the beauty of Congo. No matter what sphere of society they are in, we connect them with different people, organization, where they can be able to engage in a spheres of influence, maybe teach, or maybe just hang out with people. Because when you're just there and hang out with people and put yourself in their shoes, talk to them, you know, the mistake that we make usually as a non-profit, sometimes when we go to this country, is that we go to a country like Congo and we have a Land Cruiser, and we're riding around in a Land Cruiser, we don't get to talk to the locals. They see you every time. But if they see you as someone who's wanting to talk to them, who's wanting to share with them, you can really change their perspective. You don't even sometimes have to talk to them. You just have to be with them and see that, okay, he is a human like us. So this is the first point, come with us to Congo. Come and visit the biggest lava lake in the world is Virunga National Park. Nyiragongo, come to visit the Gorilla Mountain in the natural habitat. Come and see an amazing landscape. Come and see the most beautiful dance in the world. And the second of all, we also take people. We work with hospitals, and so we bring doctors or nurses to this hospital to engage, to help the doctors that are working in place, because our infrastructure, our health system is not as advanced as you guys. So we do that as well. You can also, whether you are a doctor or you are just a normal person, you can also volunteer your time to help there. But also you can donate with your finances towards many of these projects that we do. For example, I shared about Ombeni. Ombeni is a young man who has taken many young kids in his home, and all these kids need school fees, need food. But we also have provided some amount of money for him to run a small business, but this small business that is not able to provide completely for him. So you can engage by donating some a little bit of of your money towards our project. We also run a lot of different trainings in Congo. For example, we're training journalists in different cities, helping them to be able to tell their own stories in photography, in web design, and app development. We're training them, so you can be able to go there and help, or you can be able to help through donating to those projects. You can as well just come to Congo just as a tourist. And lastly, I think the last way it would be to also donate to the project Kitokoyo, which is a project that is there to show the beauty of Congo instead of looking always at the negative image. Because what we have discovered when we're doing our research is that when there is no stories of hope, the young generation cannot even dream of hope themselves, because all they see is that, okay, this country is horrible. And that encourages them to say, okay, the only place that I can see hope is Europe. But there is hope while they're in Congo. They just need more people that talk about hope. And the Western media is always talking about horrible rape capture of the world. This, don't go there, this is bad. And I think this is a narrative that we should avoid. We need to look at positive narrative that will encourage our young people to know that what they have in this country, it is amazing, it's worth it. And as the young people, they can develop those resources that they have in order to contribute to the economy and to better the lives of their people. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Pappy. Okay, I have one last question from Mara. In which way did you get your internship in Germany, and what exactly are you doing now?
Okay. Right now I'm talking to you. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, well, I was studying in Switzerland. What I didn't say is that is the time I exactly met with my wife, with my girlfriend then. And then so I was looking. My intention was to go back to South Africa, which I did. But I realized also, if I wanted to get to know this girl better, I needed to be close to where she was. So back then she was studying in Ludwigsburg and Erha, and I was talking to people that might know places for me to do internship, and so they allocated me to a place called Yotmem in Bavaria, and then accepted me and sent me the visas, and then I got my visas, and then I came here. So I won twice. So I was able to be meeting with my girlfriend then some weekends, and then also do my internship. So that is how it happened. And right now I'm very, very engaged. I have a small company, media company. So I tell stories. I produce videos. I make web design and some web development and animation. And so we get mostly hired by non-profit organizations that are working overseas. And just before the lockdown, we were to travel to Nepal, India, Mozambique, somewhere in South America. But because of the lockdown, everything was canceled. And so our concept is really go out there and tell stories with dignity, because many people just go and look for news, and the way they portray the people is not in a very respectful, or they don't even let the people tell their own story. They tell the story for the people, and that's why we engage ourselves to tell, look, people will receive this story even better if it is told on a perspective of the owner of the story. And so we respect that, and I think this is the reason why we are in this field of storytelling. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pappy, for answering all the questions, and yes, for sharing your story with us, and for encouraging us to contribute for change and to become a change maker. I would also like to thank you all, your guys who are listening, for being part of the webinar and for supporting the Start the Change project. I wish you all a great weekend. Stay healthy and safe, because now we are running out of time. And take care. And I give the final words. Maybe Pappy wants to say something, and then to Annika again. So thank you very much, Pappy, and all for the participants who listened to the webinar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Yanina. Did you share? Is the petition ready?
Not yet. No, it's not yet
so
ready.
we cannot share about it. But I just wanted to close by saying that it is very important not to just listen and let the story go, and tomorrow we'll get to our own self and say, well, Pappy's story is this strong story, my story doesn't matter. Because I think your story matters, and I think we could all engage in a way or another. There is ways that we can influence. We all vote. We all have voices. We can write if we want to change situations that affect a lot of different people. We can talk to our local politician, write them a letter. We can. There is a lot of different things that we can do. So I would like to encourage you to get engaged, to think about things that we can get involved in. Even if you're not getting involved with our Focus Congo, there are a lot of different opportunity in this world that you can make an impact and things that you can change. And so I think that's why the Start the Change project is here. And you guys at CAT, you are doing an amazing job, and thank you again for giving us the opportunity to share. And thank you all for listening. And again, it was great seeing you all, and those on YouTube, those who were listening from Ukraine, Japan, South Africa, Congo. I thank you guys. We are all together, and we shall overcome.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pappy. Thanks everybody for being here at our Sustainability Week. Next week, we still have a lot of program. Just have a look at our platform, hochschule-n-bw.de. There are also some webinars, workshops in English. The rest is in German. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks a lot for you, Janina and Pappy, for being part of our sustainability weeks, and see you all hopefully in another workshop webinar next week or this weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. I've left the contact in the chat, so if you want to have it, so it's there. Yeah.